Hi there, my name is Karen Figueroa. I'm a director of a Montessori school. For those who are not familiar with Montessori, it is an educational concrete form of teaching that was derived by the late Dr. Maria Montessori, who introduced this form of educational philosophy. You're probably wondering why I'm mentioning this. Allow me to explain. The Montessori philosophy is very popular among the Asian community, specifically to India and Pakistan communities, in which I will be discussing. As I was researching and learning more about these two Asian countries, it is important to also understand their history. During my research, I also came to find out that these two countries were once one unit and slowly migrated to ascend their own identity, cultural beliefs, and antics due to their differentiating religious beliefs. Because of the Montessori philosophy is predominant in India and Pakistan, the ethnicities and cultures I frequently interact with at my workplace are from these countries. For my presentation, I will be referencing the 5-factor model of personality, multicultural approach, and acculturation, and how they apply to me within these contexts. I chose these 3 topics for my presentation because through my own personal experiences, most of the personality traits in the 5-factor model are instilled in me, which helped me to be a suitable candidate for the diverse dynamics of differentiating in diverse cultures within my career, and my work environment. This would include how I contribute to a culture and embrace their ceremonies, traditions, music, dances, and festivals. I hope to in turn dive into the core of who I am and why I am the way I am and how I adapt to a multicultural setting. I hope you enjoy my presentation, and I would appreciate any feedback to help me in my final. Thank you. The 5-factor model of personality, according to the textbook, can be said to be a universal approach across many cultures. Also known as OCEAN, which is its acronym for openness, conscientious, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. I believe that the taxonomy of my personality falls into many of these categories, and I am sure many of you can also reflect on these traits. I was never a quiet child to start off with, but I believe that my background really developed my openness and curiosity to have an open mind to new adventures and new cultures. I am a military brat, and I've had the pleasure of traveling all over the world as a young child. I was as young as 5 years old when my father transferred as a new Army soldier and moved to the United States and out of my home country of Puerto Rico. Speaking not even 1 ounce of English, I adapted well and learned English as my second language. I was never isolated to the notion of exploring new sounds, foods, smells, and mannerisms as we moved from different countries. In Japan, for example, I pleaded to my family to allow me to go into an exchange program where I stayed with a Japanese family in their home for a week to learn what a week in their life looks like. There were many things I was not accustomed to, like taking off my shoes and putting on house shoes, eating sitting on the floor, and even how they bathed. Because I had the mindset and was brought up to be open to new concepts and others' differences, I didn't resist their way of life, which leads me to agreeableness. Being agreeable requires one to be warm, approachable, and pleasant to be around. I believe that I am because I don't believe that I would be able to entertain the idea of adapting to new cultures, families, and my surroundings if I didn't have a more positive approach to the idea. Another trait of mine that I believe is very important in life is to be conscientious. Being conscientious means that you are ready and prepared and you have a more proactive approach to things in life and that come your way, which I hold true to my own standards even to this day. Having a conscientious mind helps you to develop a plan and to be organized, which are all great attributes in my opinion to anyone's personality. I also consider myself to be an extrovert in some areas of my life, of course. For example, As I stated in my introduction, I have a diverse group of employees that educate me on their culture very frequently, and because of my upbringing, I'm intrigued to learn more and more. I even join in when it comes to some of their festivals and activities. My first dance that I went to was during Diwali, which is like Christmas. I put on a sari, was given a blessing on my forehead by one of my bosses, and at a ceremonial festival, I watched in awe as they praised the goddess of wealth and sang some religious songs. After the blessings, we gathered together and enjoyed some traditional Indian cuisines and danced the night away. It was my first experience dancing with dandiya sticks in a circle, and I was taught many hand gestures as our sari swirled around when we danced. It was an amazing experience, and I now look forward to it every year. What I like the most about myself is that while others bash away and are shy, I, on the other hand, ask questions. I have a curious mind, and I always want to know why their culture does things. I often ask if they have meanings to their dances, festivals, and even hand motions. I also find it intriguing to know how these very things that make them so unique cultivated into their country. Do you ever wonder? Lastly, neuroticism is an emotionally unpredictable and unstable personality trait. I do not see that my personality falls into this trait, as I do not consider myself to be unstable, but I can understand why this trait falls into the five-factor model of personality. The picture above is me blessing the groom before his special day. This picture shows some traditional items used to bless the groom. A traditional Pakistani wedding ritual. In the previous content, I explained about who I am. I will now explain why I am the way I am. Because of my personality traits and the array of different cultures I was exposed to growing up, it gave me the foundation to be able to respect the unique differences that make each culture, person, and/or group at my place of employment. This is known as a multicultural approach. It is about accepting diversity and all it has to offer. In my workplace, it is important for me to be able to cultivate all of our ethnic differences to make a strong team. Although there is a sense of ethnocentrism amongst some of my colleagues, it is not something that I desire to be. Ethnocentrism is when a person judges others that are not within their cultural norms that they are accustomed to. We see and hear this very often as our environments are ever so diverse in the United States. One way I try and incorporate a multicultural approach is by creating a multicultural atmosphere that all my staff members can engage in while being respectful to all of our differences. We do this often by the way of dance or festivals. We're all a group of women, so I don't know many women that don't like to dance. This type of multicultural standing helps to build the team to become one unit and share our views on something we hold dear, our own culture, and in turn, we build our own close-knit community and culture for our workplace and employer. Another way that we take a multicultural approach is by having potlucks where everyone makes a dish from their country of origin and we spend time conversing about our dishes and the different ingredients that make up the recipe. These are just a few examples of how I take on a multicultural approach to an ever-growing diverse community. It is important to accept the changes if we are open-minded enough to be able to see and accept others' perspectives and beliefs. The picture you see above is my daughter, who is 3 years old, receiving Mehndi by a local artist. Acculturation. I think that personality has a lot to do with how a person is able to acculturate to any one host culture. I myself feel that I can acculturate very well in any environment that I get placed in, whether it's moving to another country, trying new foods from a different country, or attending ceremonies and festivals of a particular culture. To me, it has to do a lot about the attitude the person places on their experiences. If you do not allow for new things to happen in your life, how can you determine if it's something that you are not interested in? Being culturally fit to my own environment and workplace required me to acquire to the beliefs and overall behavior that makes up my team. I, for one, as you can see from my examples in the previous contents, have the personality and the capabilities of acculturating to various cultures that correlate with my history, experiences, and background, at least for the most part. Uniquely enough, this can be identified in the small video of me dancing and having a great time with my fellow Indian and Pakistani colleagues, celebrating an important day for them. There are many different cultures that have their own way of captivating their values and festivals that they want to share with the world. So for those who have never seen or heard Indian or Pakistani festivities, I hope my video shines some light on the beauty of engaging and acculturating in diverse activities. A picture can reflect 1,000 words. This picture tells a story of different personalities, a diverse group of women acculturating to their environments, and women establishing a multicultural approach that I am so blessed to be experiencing and to be a part of. Captivated in this picture is me on the left side, my boss who's from India in the middle, and my fellow colleague to the right. In conclusion, I hope that you were able to captivate how these concepts impact by way of my own personal experiences. Having a positive outlook and the 5-factor model of personality traits really can tell a lot about how a person can acculturate into new experiences and host cultures. If it wasn't for my father entering into the Army when I was such a young age, I might not have been exposed to these same traits that I hold today. In my work environment, I always tend to encourage people to acculturate to new experiences so that we can learn from each other, so I definitely encourage you. I hope you have learned through my presentation a glimpse of who I am, why I am the way I am, and how I am a suitable candidate that is able to adapt to the diverse dynamics of differentiating and diverse cultures. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I look forward to hearing your feedback. Good luck!